Ladies and gentlemen, this morning we acknowledge that favor is not luck, it is alignment. When God's favor rests upon a man, steps are ordered, doors respond, and delays bow. Today, let your heart be yielded, your spirit sensitive, and your obedience complete. As you step out, may grace go ahead of you, correcting errors, attracting helpers, and establishing peace. Walk with awareness that heaven backs you, and every step today is guided by divine approval. In quiet confidence, advance. Today, divine favor ordering your steps is the mystery of a life guided beyond human intelligence. It means that even when you do not know the full picture, your movement is synchronized with heaven's agenda. There are days when the mind is unsure, emotions are weak, and circumstances are confusing. Yet a man still arrives safely at destiny because favor became his compass. Favor is the invisible hand of God arranging outcomes ahead of your decisions. It works quietly, but its results are loud. When favor orders your steps, you may not always feel confident, but you will always be correct. Many people struggle not because they lack effort, intelligence, or desire, but because their steps are self-directed. Effort without divine ordering leads to exhaustion. Intelligence without favor produces frustration. But when favor orders your steps, you are preserved from unnecessary battles. You are guided away from errors you never knew were waiting. Some doors close not to punish you, but to redirect you. Favor is not always seen in open doors. Sometimes it is revealed in doors you were prevented from entering. To have your steps ordered by favor means timing becomes your advantage. You arrive when others are late, and you are delayed when danger is ahead. You speak when silence is wisdom, and you are silent when words would have destroyed you. Favor teaches you restraint. It teaches you patience. It trains your spirit to discern seasons. Many losses in life are not caused by wrong actions, but by right actions done at the wrong time. Favor corrects timing. It positions you accurately within God's calendar. When favor orders your steps, helpers are already prepared along your path. You may not know their faces, but they recognize you when you arrive. Conversations suddenly work in your favor. Decisions tilt toward your benefit without manipulation. This is not because you are superior, but because favor speaks on your behalf. There is a language favor speaks that men understand without explanation. It removes suspicion. It builds trust. It grants access. It causes people to listen beyond your words. Ordered steps also mean clarity in confusion. There are moments when life presents multiple options, all appearing good, yet only one is God's choice. Favor acts as a witness within your spirit, giving you peace toward one direction, even when logic argues otherwise. That peace is not emotional comfort, it is spiritual alignment. When you learn to honor that weakness, you save yourself years of struggle. Favor does not always explain itself, but it never misleads. Divine ordering of steps brings preservation. Many accidents are avoided not by skill, but by redirection. A delayed journey, a cancelled meeting, a changed plan can be the difference between danger and safety. Favor shields without noise. It protects without announcement. It moves you quietly out of harm's way. Often, you only discover later what you were saved from. That is why gratitude must be constant, not conditional on understanding. When favor orders your steps, growth becomes progressive, not rushed. You are built before you are announced. Capacity is developed before responsibility is increased. This prevents collapse. Many people pray for elevation but neglect preparation. It teaches you in private so you can lead in public. It matures your character so your success does not destroy you. There is also discipline in ordered steps. Favor does not mean absence of correction. Sometimes it will lead you through uncomfortable processes to refine your obedience. It may require you to let go of relationships, habits, or ambitions that conflict with purpose. This pruning is proof of care. Anything God is committed to establishing, He first purifies. Ordered steps often involve surrender because you cannot follow divine direction while insisting on personal control. Divine favor ordering your steps means your journey becomes meaningful. Even detours carry instruction. Even waiting seasons produce strength. Nothing is wasted. Every experience contributes to your formation. What looks like delay is often alignment. What feels like repetition is often reinforcement. Favor understands the end from the beginning and walks you through the path that will sustain you there. When you submit your steps daily to God, ordinary routines become sacred. Work becomes worship. Movement becomes ministry. Decisions become opportunities to trust. Favor turns daily life into a platform for divine expression. You begin to see God not only in miracles, but in guidance, wisdom, restraint, and peace. This is how destiny is built, not in sudden leaps, but in ordered steps governed by favor. Grace attracting helpers and opportunities is a spiritual law that governs advancement beyond personal strength. No man rises alone. No destiny is fulfilled in isolation. And no calling is sustained without divinely positioned relationships. Grace is the force that connects you to people you did not search for, yet desperately need. It is the reason certain individuals feel drawn to your life, your ideas, and your journey without logical explanation. When grace is at work, help finds you. Many people assume helpers are always loud, powerful, or obvious, but grace often attracts subtle assistance. Sometimes it comes as a timely word, a small recommendation, a simple introduction, or a quiet correction that saves you from costly mistakes. Grace understands that not all help looks dramatic. Some helpers come for a season, others for a moment, yet their impact alters your direction permanently. Grace values timing more than volume. Opportunities are not random events. They are invitations that respond to alignment. Grace creates visibility without self-promotion. It causes your name to be mentioned in rooms you have never entered. It causes your word to speak before you speak. This is why striving without grace produces fatigue, but grace with minimal effort produces results. When grace attracts opportunities, you find yourself considered, remembered, and selected without lobbying. Grace also filters the kind of helpers that come into your life. Not everyone who offers help is sent by God. Some help is destructive. Some assistance carries hidden cost. Grace brings discernment along with connection. It helps you recognize who is assigned to your journey and who is a distraction. Helpers sent by grace do not compete with you, control you, or drain you. They strengthen your purpose and respect your boundaries. There are moments in life when effort reaches its limit. You have done all you know to do, prepared as best as you can, and still feel stuck. These moments are invitations for grace to intervene. Grace introduces you to systems, platforms, and structures that accelerate progress. It connects you to people who see value in you before you see it in yourself. This is how grace restores momentum. Grace does not only attract helpers when you are strong, it also attracts them when you are vulnerable. In seasons of weakness, grace sends encouragement. In seasons of confusion, grace sends counsel. In seasons of transition, grace sends guidance. This is how God ensures you are never stranded. Even when familiar support systems fall away, grace raises new ones. Opportunities attracted by grace often come disguised as responsibility. They require courage, growth, and sometimes sacrifice. Grace does not just open doors, it empowers you to walk through them. It stretches your capacity so you can carry what you prayed for. Many miss opportunities because they look only for comfort. But grace prepares you for challenge because challenge produces increase. Grace also attracts opportunities that align with your assignment, not just your desires. It protects you from doors that look appealing but would divert your purpose. This is why some opportunities pass you by, not because you were rejected, but because you were preserved. Grace understands the long-term impact of short-term decisions. Helpers attracted by grace often come with wisdom you do not possess. They help you avoid repeating their mistakes. They shorten your learning curve. They provide perspective that saves years. This is one of the greatest expressions of grace, redemption of time. What others learn through pain, you learn through instruction. What others learn through loss, you learn through counsel. Grace also teaches you humility. You realize that progress is not proof of superiority, but evidence of mercy. This keeps your heart soft and grateful. It allows you to honor those who help you without insecurity. Gratitude sustains grace. When you acknowledge the role of helpers, you create an environment for more help to come. Opportunities attracted by grace often come unexpectedly, but they require readiness. Grace may bring the chance, but preparation determines retention. This is why hidden seasons matter. What you build in private determines how long opportunities last in public. Grace opens doors, but character keeps them open. When grace attracts helpers and opportunities, your life becomes a testimony of divine orchestration. You look back and see patterns, not accidents. You see how meetings were arranged, how delays redirected you, how closed doors protected you, and how unexpected support arrived at critical moments. This awareness builds trust in God's guidance. Grace is not passive, it is responsive to surrender. The more you yield your plans, the more grace aligns your path. The more you depend on God, the more He surrounds you with the right people. This is how destinies are built, not by isolation, but by grace-driven connections that release growth, stability, and purpose. Alignment unlocking speed and peace is a deep spiritual principle that governs sustainable progress. Many people desire speed without alignment, but that kind of acceleration produces anxiety, pressure, and eventual breakdown. True speed is not haste, it is movement without resistance. When alignment is present, things flow. Effort reduces, results increase. Peace becomes the evidence that you are moving in the right direction. Alignment begins when your will submits to God's will. Until then, every progress will be forced. You may move, but you will not rest. You may advance, but you will not be settled. Misalignment always creates noise in the soul. There is striving, comparison, insecurity, and fear of missing out. But when alignment comes, the heart quiets. You may not have all the answers, but you have assurance. Peace is not the absence of challenges, it is the presence of direction. Speed unlocked by alignment means you no longer waste time fixing avoidable mistakes. You stop revisiting lessons you should have learned once. Many delays in life are not caused by opposition, but by repeated correction. When alignment is restored, repetition ends. You move from cycles to seasons. Each step builds on the previous one instead of canceling it. Alignment also brings clarity. Confusion slows people down. Indecision drains energy. When alignment is present, choices become simpler. You know what to say yes to and what to reject without guilt. This clarity conserves strength and releases speed. You stop scattering your focus across too many directions. Concentration multiplies results. Peace is a powerful indicator of alignment. It acts as an internal compass. When peace is absent, something is out of order. This does not mean every aligned path feels comfortable, but it does mean your spirit agrees even when your flesh resists. Peace allows you to endure pressure without panic. It stabilizes you in transition. It keeps you grounded when change is rapid. Speed without peace leads to burnout. Peace without movement leads to stagnation. Alignment brings both together. You move quickly, yet you remain whole. You grow, yet you are not overwhelmed. This balance is rare, but it is possible when your life is synchronized with divine purpose. Alignment removes unnecessary weight. You are no longer carrying expectations that were never assigned to you. When alignment unlocks speed, favor responds. Systems adjust. Resistance reduces. What once took years begins to happen in months. This is not because you suddenly became more skilled, but because you are now positioned correctly. Positioning determines space. When you are out of place, even simple tasks feel heavy. When you are aligned, complex tasks become manageable. It keeps you from impulsive decisions that destroy progress. Many people sabotage their journey because they mistake pressure for urgency. Alignment teaches you to wait when necessary and move when required. You are no longer rushed by fear or driven by comparison. You move according to instruction. Alignment also affects relationships. When you are aligned, you attract people who complement your assignment. Conflict reduces. Communication improves. Unity increases. Misalignment attracts friction. Peace in relationships is often a reflection of internal alignment. When your spirit is settled, your interactions become healthier. Speed unlocked by alignment does not ignore process. It honors it. Growth becomes efficient, not shallow. You learn faster because your heart is open. Correction becomes easier because pride is subdued. Alignment produces teachability. A teachable spirit accelerates progress. Peace allows you to enjoy the journey, not just endure it. You stop postponing joy until arrival. You become present. Gratitude increases. This emotional health sustains long-term speed. A weary soul cannot run far. Alignment strengthens the inner man. So progress does not come at the cost of joy. When alignment is established, even waiting seasons are productive. You are not anxious. You are not idle. You are being prepared. Peace keeps you confident that nothing is missing. Speed is not only measured by movement, but by readiness. Alignment ensures that when movement begins, you are fully equipped. Alignment unlocking speed and peace transforms your perspective on success. You stop measuring progress by comparison and start measuring it by obedience. This removes pressure. You become faithful to your path, not distracted by others. Peace anchors you. Speed carries you forward. In aligned living, resistance becomes instruction. Delays become direction. Challenges become training. Nothing feels random. This awareness builds resilience. You do not break under pressure because you understand purpose. Peace strengthens endurance. Speed sustains momentum. Alignment ultimately restores trust between you and God. You learn to follow without anxiety. You learn to rest without guilt. You learn to move without fear. This is where peace becomes permanent and speed becomes natural. This is where life flows instead of fights. Obedience positioning you for approval is a spiritual pathway that many admire but few fully understand. Obedience is not compliance under pressure. It is agreement of the heart with divine instruction. It is choosing God's wisdom over personal preference. When obedience becomes a lifestyle, approval follows naturally, not because you demanded it, but because you aligned with what heaven already endorses. Approval is attracted to alignment, not ambition. Many people want approval without submission. They desire results without restraint. But obedience is the proof of trust. Every instruction from God carries intention, protection, and reward. Obedience positions you where God can publicly stand by you. When you obey, you give God permission to defend your choices, validate your path, and endorse your outcomes. This is why obedience often precedes visible lifting. Obedience is costly because it challenges ego. It requires letting go of the need to fully understand before acting. Sometimes you obey without explanation, clarity, or applause. This is where obedience is refined. Approval that comes through obedience is weighty because it is tested. God often watches how you respond in private before he approves you in public. Positioning is critical in destiny. Even the right gift in the wrong place struggles. Obedience relocates you spiritually and sometimes physically into divine placement. It may move you away from comfort, familiarity, or popular opinion, but correct positioning determines influence. Obedience places you where your contribution matters, where your voice carries weight, and where your effort produces fruit. Approval from God is not the same as applause from people. Sometimes obedience will temporarily cost you human approval. People may misunderstand your decisions, question your direction, or withdraw their support. But divine approval sustains you when human validation is absent. It gives you inner confidence that you are right even when you are alone. This confidence cannot be faked or borrowed. Obedience also trains discernment. The more you obey, the clearer God's voice becomes. Confusion reduces. Sensitivity increases. You learn to distinguish between impulse and instruction. This clarity protects you from costly mistakes. Approval is sustained by consistency, and consistency is strengthened by clarity. When obedience positions you for approval, doors open without compromise. You do not need to manipulate, exaggerate, or compete. Your integrity speaks. Your decisions carry credibility. People trust you because heaven trusts you. Approval creates favor in systems and structures because obedience aligns you with principles that govern increase. Obedience often begins with small instructions. It may involve attitude adjustments, character corrections, or hidden acts of faithfulness. These small obediences accumulate spiritual authority. Many want visible impact without invisible discipline. But approval is built in secret. God rewards what is done faithfully when no one is watching. There is also protection in obedience. Many crises are avoided, not through prayer alone, but through instruction followed. Obedience saves you from paths that would damage your peace, reputation, or future. When you obey, you step into divine coverage. Even when challenges arise, they do not destroy you because you are within God's will. Approval that comes through obedience carries rest. You are not anxious about outcomes because you are confident in your obedience. This rest allows you to perform better. Fear reduces. Pressure lifts. You function with clarity and confidence. Approval stabilizes the soul. Obedience also prepares you for greater responsibility. God does not promote rebellion. He increases those who can be trusted. Each level of obedience qualifies you for the next assignment. Promotion in the spirit is not about visibility, but reliability. Approval follows those who can carry weight without complaint. When obedience positions you for approval, correction becomes a gift, not an offense. You value instruction because you understand that growth depends on alignment. Pride weakens obedience, but humility strengthens it. Humility keeps you teachable. Teachability sustains approval. Approval from God often manifests as peace, authority, and consistency. You may not always see dramatic signs, but your life produces steady results. You become dependable, you become effective, you become fruitful. This kind of approval outlasts trends and seasons. Obedience also shapes legacy. Decisions made in obedience today influence generations tomorrow. What you submit to now determines what God entrusts to you later. Approval is not only about now, it is about longevity. Obedience builds foundations that do not collapse under pressure. When you live obediently, you stop negotiating with truth. You stop delaying instructions. You stop adjusting standards to fit convenience. This integrity strengthens your spiritual posture. God honors those who honor His word. Approval becomes a natural consequence of a surrendered life. Obedience positions you where grace can walk freely. Resistance to instruction limits grace, but obedience opens channels. Help flows, direction increases, favor rests. Approval becomes evident, not because you announced it, but because results confirm it. In obedience, you learn that God's instructions are not restrictions, but permissions to access higher dimensions. What you obey today unlocks what you will access tomorrow. Approval is progressive. It grows as obedience grows. Obedience positions you to stand before God and men without shame. Your conscience is clear. Your heart is settled. This inner alignment produces outer authority. Approval is felt before it is seen. Those who obey may walk slowly at first, but they arrive intact. Those who rush without obedience may arrive early, but cannot remain. Obedience preserves what speed alone cannot sustain. When obedience becomes your language, approval becomes your atmosphere. You do not chase it, you carry it. It rests on your decisions, your words, your movements. This is how obedience quietly but powerfully positions a life for divine endorsement.